Rain patters against the wide glass windows of a quiet nursing home, where the hum of fluorescent lights fills the silence. Inside, Frank Miller, a frail WWII veteran with trembling hands, stares at a faded photograph of his platoon, faces lost to time, smiles frozen in youth. The rhythmic tick of the wall clock seems louder than the world that has forgotten him. The days here are a loop of quiet meals, medication, and solitude. His only real connection is Maya, a young nurse whose kindness is a small light in his dimming world. She listens to his stories, but even her compassion can't fill the void left by a lifetime of memories no one else shares. Across town, a different kind of life unfolds. In a cluttered motorcycle garage, a man named Duke wipes grease from his hands. Underneath the tattoos and scars is a man haunted by the ghost of his grandfather, a soldier who once fought alongside men just like Frank. One evening, Duke stumbles upon a newspaper clipping about veterans dying alone, forgotten in the very country they fought to protect. A familiar anger, an ache he can't quite name, stirs within him. He mutters words passed down from his grandfather like a sacred vow. We leave no brother behind. That same night, rain drums against the nursing home roof. Frank sits awake, clutching the medals that represent a life of courage now confined to a small, sterile room. Maya brings him a cup of tea, her voice soft. "You still dreaming about the old days, Frank?" she asks. He looks past her, out into the stormy night, and whispers, "I'm dreaming about one more chance to say goodbye." Miles away, a motorcycle engine growls to life, a low, steady rumble that seems to echo Frank's unspoken wish. A promise is taking shape in the darkness, a storm of change is brewing, and destiny is beginning to move. The next morning, the sterile routine of the nursing home continues. Frank sits by the window, the old photograph resting on his knee, a silent testament to a life lived. An orderly approaches, his expression uneasy. "Mr. Miller," he begins, his voice hesitant. "The management wanted me to let you know. You'll be transferred next week to a long-term care facility outside of town." The words hang in the air, cold and clinical. Frank's face remains a stoic mask, but his fingers tighten on the photo, crumpling the edges. He simply nods, the quiet acceptance of a soldier who has learned to follow orders, even when they break his heart. At the nurse's station, Maya confronts the administrator, her voice filled with a desperate fire. "He's 92 years old, she pleads. "He's been here for years. You can't just move him like a piece of furniture." The administrator looks away, his response clipped and detached. "We're downsizing. He's stable, requires less medical oversight. We have to make room." It's a battle of compassion against bureaucracy, and bureaucracy is winning. Later that night, Maya finds Frank staring at his own trembling reflection in the rain-streaked window. "They're sending me away, aren't they?" he asks, his voice barely a whisper. "Looks that way," she admits, her heart heavy. Frank lets out a dry, tired chuckle. "Forever's not as long as it used to be." Across town, Duke leans against the frame of his garage, scrolling through a veterans forum on his phone. He stops on a new post, a plea from a nurse asking for volunteers to visit forgotten soldiers before they retransferred away. Attached is a photo. Frank, frail but dignified, holding a small American flag. Duke's jaw tightens. "That's him," he says to the empty garage. He remembers his grandfather's stories, tales of foxholes and shared rations, of promises made in the heat of battle. A promise to a man named Frank Miller. He gathers his crew, a brotherhood bound by leather and loyalty. "There's an old soldier being pushed aside," he tells them, his voice low and intense. "He fought for everything we stand on. We can't let him fade out like this." One of the younger bikers looks uncertain. "Duke, are you sure this isn't crossing a line?" Duke's gaze is unwavering. Sometimes doing the right thing means crossing every line they draw. As thunder rumbles in the distance, engines ignite one by one, their roar rolling through the night like an oath. And far away, in his quiet room, Frank lifts his head, sensing a storm, and something far greater, on its way. Dawn breaks over the nursing home, painting the sky in soft shades of rose and gray. Inside, the halls are still. Frank sits by the window, a small packed suitcase beside him. The photograph of his platoon is tucked safely in his breast pocket. His transfer is set for noon. Maya stops by before her shift ends, her eyes clouded with sadness. "I tried everything, Frank," she whispers. "They won't change their minds." He offers a faint, forgiving smile. "You've done enough, dear. Maybe it's time to just let the world forget me." His words are heavy with resignation, a quiet surrender. But the world hasn't forgotten. Moments later, a low growl begins to rise from the distance, building into a ground-shaking roar that makes the windows vibrate. The staff exchange nervous glances as a long line of motorcycles, black and chrome flashing in the pale light, pulls up to the front doors. Duke is at the lead, his expression a mixture of iron will and profound respect. He dismounts, removes his helmet, and faces the flustered administrator who rushes out to meet him. "We're here for Frank Miller," Duke announces, his voice calm but unyielding. "You can't just barge in here," the administrator protests. Duke takes a step closer. "We're not here to cause trouble. We're taking a soldier to finish what he started." He walks past the stunned staff, his eyes meeting Maya's for a brief moment, an unspoken understanding passing between them. When he reaches Frank's room, the old man looks up, startled. A slow smile spreads across his face. "You boys sure took your time," he says, his voice stronger than it has been in years. Duke grins back. "Had to make sure the engines were worthy of you, sir." In a moment of quiet reverence, they gently help Frank to his feet, wrap him in a leather jacket embroidered with his name, and carefully lift him into a custom-built sidecar. The convoy thunders down the highway, a procession of honor guards on wheels. The wind rushes through Frank's silver hair, and for the first time in decades, he closes his eyes and feels a sense of pure, unbridled freedom. The world blurs into a beautiful memory. The motorcycles slow as they approach a hillside memorial, where rows of marble headstones shimmer in the afternoon sun. Duke helps Frank to his feet, and together they walk towards a wall etched with the names of the fallen. Frank raises a trembling hand in a salute, his voice thick with emotion. "We made it, boys," he says to the silent names. "We finally made it." In that sacred space, all the noise of the world fades away, and for the first time in a very long time, Frank Miller is not a forgotten old man in a quiet room. He is a soldier, home at last. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, please consider sharing it and subscribing for more content that celebrates the human spirit. We'll see you in the next one. The roar of the engines quiets, a thunderous silence falling as the motorcycles line the edge of the memorial grounds. The afternoon sun spills across the stone, each ray a spotlight illuminating the names of soldiers who never returned home. Among the crowd of leather-clad bikers stands Frank, his frail body gently supported between two of them, Duke and Maya. His breathing is shallow, but his eyes are alive, brighter than they have been in years. He gazes at the engraved names, his expression softening as if he is seeing old friends for the first time in a long time. In a voice barely above a whisper, he says, "We were just kids. We thought the world would remember." Duke, a man whose tough exterior belies a deep well of respect, places a hand over his heart. "They will now, Frank. They will." In the distance, the faint wail of police sirens grows, a sound that usually signals trouble. But as the patrol car arrives, the two officers who step out don't rush forward. They pause, their movements halting as they take in the scene. An aged soldier, his back straight, saluting the past, surrounded by a solemn guard of bikers standing like sentinels. The older officer slowly lowers his radio, his voice thick with emotion as he murmurs to his partner, "Let him finish." Frank holds his salute for a long moment before his arm lowers, exhaustion washing over him. Maya is there instantly, wrapping a warm blanket around his shoulders. Tears glisten in her eyes as she kneels beside him. "You did it," she says softly, her voice a comforting anchor. "You made it back to them." Frank manages a faint smile, his gaze drifting upward. "Didn't think I'd get another mission." He follows a lone bird soaring across the sky. Guess this was the last one. When the quiet ceremony concludes, Duke carefully helps Frank back into the sidecar. The police, who had come to investigate, now lead the way, their lights flashing not as a warning, but as a tribute. The convoy makes its way back, a procession of rebellion and reverence, of thunder and grace. People on the roadside pause their daily rush. They lower their phones, their attention captured by this unusual parade. They watch as it rolls past, a powerful testament to a promise kept. By evening, the staff at the nursing home gathers outside to welcome them back. Frank is carried gently to his room, a place of quiet routine now touched by adventure. The old photograph is returned to its place on his nightstand, but now it's joined by a new one. Frank, surrounded by his biker escort, a wide, wind-swept smile on his face. Maya lingers at his doorway, watching as his eyes flutter closed, a profound peace settling over his features like a soft blanket. Duke, his cap in his hands, gives a single respectful nod before turning to leave, his mission complete. The next morning the sun rises on an empty bed. In the stillness of the room, a crisply folded flag rests where Frank had slept. His service medals, polished and proud, gleam in the morning light. And beside them a small, unexpected addition, a Hell's Angels patch. It's no longer a symbol of rebellion, but of a profound and unexpected brotherhood. The world had remembered after all. The nursing home is quiet once more, the same soft hum of the corridor lights filling the air. Yet, something has fundamentally shifted. An invisible warmth lingers, a feeling of a life fully honored. On Frank's nightstand, the flag, his medals, and the patch are now framed together. Beneath them, a handwritten note from Duke reads, "For the last soldier who never stopped fighting." Days later, the sound of heavy boots echoes on the linoleum floors. Duke has returned, this time alone. He carries a bouquet of wildflowers, rough, imperfect, and beautiful in their wild defiance. He places them beside the empty bed, a quiet offering. He bows his head, the silence in the room thick with respect. "You reminded me what loyalty means," he says, his voice low and steady. "You showed me what it looks like to live with honor." He stays there for a long moment, a silent guardian once more, before turning to leave. Outside, the sound of a single motorcycle engine fills the air, a low, steady rumble like a heartbeat. Maya steps out to watch as Duke rides away, his figure framed by the soft light of dawn. The staff around her pause their morning routines, drawn to the window by something they can't quite explain, a feeling of reverence, of grace. It feels as if the whole world has slowed down, touched by the echo of one man's courage and the kindness of strangers. The world often mistakes toughness for cruelty and kindness for weakness, but true strength isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about how much you're willing to care. It's in the quiet moments of respect, the promises kept, and the brotherhood found in the most unlikely of places. Sometimes, the bravest act a person can commit is to show up, to listen, and to care when no one else will. It's a reminder that kindness costs nothing, but its value can change everything, leaving behind not grief, but a quiet, enduring sense of peace that lingers long after the story ends. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched you, please consider sharing it, and don't forget to follow our channel for more content that celebrates the best of humanity. We'll see you in the next one.